Leo had always been a curious child. Even as a kindergartner, while other kids ran around aimlessly, he would watch ants march in perfect lines, study the clouds drifting across the sky, and ask questions that stumped teachers. He saw the world as a puzzle, a place full of tiny mysteries waiting to be solved. Isabella, on the other hand, was bold, proud, and magnetic. She could command attention effortlessly, lead other children in games, and make every space feel like her stage. She loved challenges, loved being noticed, and never let anyone ignore her. Their first encounter was unremarkable to an outside observer, yet unforgettable to them. In the sandbox, Isabella was carefully constructing a castle for a princess, sculpting towers and digging moats. Leo approached, observing her precision with fascination. "Why are you putting the tower so close to the moat?" he asked, leaning slightly over the edge. "Because I want to," she replied with a mischievous grin. Leo blinked. "Just because? Everything should have a reason." "What would you do in my place?" "I'd build it perfectly," she answered, eyes fixed on her sandy empire. He felt a strange pull to her. She was unpredictable, fiery, and fearless, a challenge to his orderly worldview, and yet he found himself drawn in, wanting to understand her completely. Isabella, meanwhile, was amused by his seriousness, his constant questioning. She had never met someone who approached the world with such intensity. Over the months, Leo began to linger near her, helping with the moat or suggesting ideas. Isabella would often roll her eyes or tease him, but she secretly enjoyed his presence. That strange blend of curiosity and boldness formed the first fragile thread connecting them.
As they grew, their bonds strengthened. They shared a desk, exchanged secrets, passed notes during class, and often got lost in long debates about books, movies, and the most trivial curiosities. Leo saw layers in Isabella that others rarely noticed. Beneath her confidence and teasing lay a vulnerability, a fear of being misunderstood, a desire to be seen as extraordinary. Isabella, meanwhile, found comfort in Leo's steady curiosity. He questioned everything, but he always listened to her, even when her words were sharp or mocking. One day, in the middle of an art class, Isabella leaned over Leo's sketchbook. "Why do you spend so long on that tree? It's just a tree," she said, tapping the page. "Because it's not just a tree. Every branch, every leaf, it tells a story," Leo replied, eyes bright. "You always see more than anyone else," she said softly, almost to herself. That was the first time Isabella noticed how deeply he could observe the world and her. It was subtle, but it planted the seed of something she would only recognize much later. Throughout middle school, their interactions were a dance of teasing and care. She would provoke him with challenges, and he would respond with patience and wit. They became inseparable in a way that neither fully understood. "You always make things so complicated, Leo," she said one afternoon, exasperated, after he carefully explained a plan for a weekend hike. "I just want it to be perfect," he said softly. "Life isn't about perfection," she laughed. Leo realized that every moment with Isabella was an adventure, unpredictable and thrilling. But as he grew older, his feelings deepened. He found himself caring not just about her adventures, but about her heart, and fearing what would happen if he confessed. High school brought both excitement and tension. Leo and Isabella's friendship had grown into something more complicated. They spent hours together after school, discussing dreams, fears, and the future. Leo's internal struggle intensified. I can't keep this a secret any longer. But what if she rejects me? What if I lose her completely? Meanwhile, Isabella enjoyed the thrill of teasing him, sensing his nervousness. She liked the way he noticed details no one else did, how he listened without judgment, and how his curiosity was endless. Yet she was stubborn, proud, and afraid to be vulnerable. The turning point came on September 4th, after weeks of Leo rehearsing his words. On the school rooftop, bathed in the golden glow of the evening sun, he finally spoke. "Isabella, I can't keep this inside any longer. I love you. I've always loved you. And I'm willing to wait if you need time," he said, his voice trembling slightly. She laughed at first, thinking it was a joke. "Are you serious?" "Completely," he said, clenching his fists. "I've never been this serious." She studied him, searching for signs of jest. Seeing none, a gentle smile spread across her face. Slowly, she reached out and touched his arm. "Okay, let's see where this goes," she whispered. It wasn't immediate fireworks, but it was real. Their first steps as a couple were awkward, sweet, and filled with the cautious excitement of two teenagers discovering something profound. Their early relationship was a whirlwind of emotion. They laughed, argued, explored the city together, stayed up late talking about books and films, and created their own little world. "You plan everything, Leo. Can't you just let it happen?" she teased during one of their city walks. "I want it to be perfect, for us," he replied. "You're weird, but I like it," she said, nudging him playfully. Leo adored her for her fire and daring spirit, while Isabella appreciated his patience and perceptiveness. Even small disagreements, like where to eat, which route to take on a hike, or how to decorate a shared space, became lessons in compromise and understanding. Inside Leo, he thought constantly, "This is happiness, real happiness. Every moment matters. I wouldn't trade this for anything." Isabella's thoughts were more conflicted. "He's so caring and observant, but sometimes I feel trapped by his perfectionism. I need freedom, adventure. I hope he understands." Even in the midst of love, differences began to surface. Leo's desire for depth and stability clashed with Isabella's craving for excitement and spontaneity. "Leo, you can't plan every moment. Life isn't a spreadsheet," she shouted one evening after he meticulously mapped their weekend plans. I just want us to be happy," he replied quietly, his hands trembling slightly. Both felt the tension growing. Leo worried, what if our love can't survive this? What if she leaves me for someone more exciting? Isabella, too, wrestled with her feelings. "He loves me so much, but I feel confined. Nathan, he might give me what I need. Am I wrong to think that?" They loved each other fiercely, but the first real cracks had begun to show. That summer, a new figure entered Isabella's life, Nathan. Calm, confident, and charismatic, he seemed to effortlessly provide what Isabella sometimes lacked with Leo: stability, reassurance, and space to breathe. Leo first noticed the change subtly. She laughed differently, more softly and warmly, without the usual teasing edge he was used to. Her gaze lingered elsewhere, and even when she was near him, part of her seemed somewhere else entirely. Inside Leo, doubt gnawed at him. Why does her smile change when he's around? Why can't I make her laugh the way I used to? One evening, he confronted her gently. "Isabella, I can't help but notice you've been spending more time with Nathan lately. Are you happy?" She hesitated, the truth weighing on her like a stone. He'll be hurt, but he deserves honesty.
I am happy, but I've been thinking, Leo, a lot. He felt his chest tighten. Thinking about what? About us? I, I just need space to figure some things out, she continued, eyes avoiding his. Leo nodded slowly, swallowing the lump in his throat. I can't force her. I can only hope.
Isabella wrestled with her feelings. Leo loved her deeply, patiently, unconditionally. Yet, Nathan offered freedom and balance in a way Leo never could. Leo sees me, really sees me. He knows everything about me and still loves me. But his love sometimes feels suffocating, like a blanket I can't remove. Nathan, he's the opposite. He gives me space, lets me breathe, yet still makes me feel adored. What do I do? She knew the decision would hurt someone she loved. But her pride, her yearning for independence, and her need to explore life on her own terms pushed her toward Nathan. Every glance at Leo now came with guilt. Every laugh with Nathan with fear. Every quiet moment alone filled with questions she didn't want to answer. One evening, Isabella approached Leo. The air was thick with unspoken words, the kind that make hearts pound and chests ache. He could sense the weight of what was coming. Leo, I'm so grateful for everything we've shared, she began, her voice trembling. Leo looked down, clenching his fists. I already know what she's going to say, but hearing it will break me anyway. I have to move on. I've met Nathan. He fits me in a way I need. It's not your fault. It's just how things are. Leo felt a cold, sharp pang. Pain, disbelief, and loss slammed into him all at once. I always thought our love could survive anything, but love doesn't always mean holding on. He forced a small nod, swallowing the lump in his throat. I understand. I want you to be happy, he whispered, his voice barely audible. Tears threatened to spill, but he held them back. Isabella smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. She turned and walked away, her steps hesitant yet determined, leaving Leo alone in the dimming light. He stayed there long after she left, watching the sunset. His chest ached, but in the quiet, he realized that letting her go was an act of love, too. Leo stayed true to himself, curious, restless, and open to life's endless possibilities. He learned to treasure moments without clinging, to hold people in his heart without needing them to stay forever. Isabella moved forward with Nathan, finding what she felt she needed. Yet the memory of Leo, his quirks, his devotion, their laughter, and their adventures remained a permanent part of her heart. Leo often watched the sunset, reflecting on the years with Isabella. The sandbox in kindergarten, school debates, the rooftop confession, the adventures and laughter, the first arguments, and finally, the painful farewell. Love can be real even if it isn't eternal. Sometimes the greatest act of love is letting someone follow their own path, even when your heart wants to hold them close. He smiled softly, tears in his eyes, knowing that every memory of her, every bright, passionate, fleeting moment had shaped him into the man he was becoming.